Good morning, Prospect. Yesterday I had the privilege and the responsibility of carrying my daughter to the airport. She was flying out to Montana to visit our second great grandchild. And it was interesting because I actually got into the wrong lane and went to the wrong terminal. I went to the north instead of the south terminal. And I used to live 1,000 years ago in East Point. And I was living there when the new Atlanta airport opened in 1980. And I was thinking about that yesterday because in 1980, they announced that the airport was open and they invited people to come and see. And so my wife and I went over. Now you have to remember I was 23. And we rode the train for the first time. And in 1980, I don't know how many of you will get this reference, but there used to be a game, a video game that was robots, and I don't remember what the name of the game was, but the robots had really weird voices. It was like, "You are being destroyed." I say that to say that back then, the voice on the train was the same voice. And we rode the train back and forth. And then we found out there were moving sidewalks, and we rode the moving sidewalks. And it was the first time I discovered that if you are jogging on a moving sidewalk and you come to the end of the sidewalk and the sidewalk is no longer moving under you, you will fall flat on your face if you're not prepared. I know that from experience. It used to be you could go to the airport and go to the gate and meet the person you were meeting at the gate. And then the world changed and you can't go to the gate anymore. Yesterday we went to the airport, and one thing that hasn't really changed at the airport is that the people that are letting people out don't care. There are 3 or 4 lanes of traffic at the airport, and people will stop in any one of those lanes at any time and get out of their car and let people out. I was thinking of the last time I flew, and I had to take my shoes off and take my belt off, and I've reached a point in my life when I take my belt off, it's hard to keep my pants up. And I don't like doing that. But I still fly because it's easier to get to the West Coast flying than it is driving. And I say all of that to say that we live in a time when our world is being upended again. September the 11th changed flying forever. And I am reminded of Hebrews 13, verse 8. Jesus is the same yesterday, today, and forever. And that is all 100% true. But equally as true is Isaiah 43, where it says, "Behold, I am doing a new thing." Now, how can God be the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow, and be doing a new thing? For me, that's actually not a hard question to answer, because God is in the business of creation. There are several events in the course of the history of humanity that have changed humanity forever. Jesus' life and death. I don't care whether you believe in God or not. Jesus lived, and that's not even a question. And the person Jesus has changed the world more than any other life that ever lived. There was a time when much of the world was illiterate, and priests had to read to people because they couldn't read for themselves. And then a fellow named Gutenberg came along and invented the printing press, and people were able to read for themselves, and that sparked an outbreak of literacy. And of course, we all know that the King James Bible was written with the purpose of making the Word of God understandable in common people's language. There was a time when the Bible existed in Greek and Hebrew and Latin and Aramaic. And if you didn't speak those languages, you couldn't read the Bible. And Gutenberg enabled the Bible not only to be printed, but to be mass produced so that everyone could have a copy. I was reminded this morning that I don't read books as much as I used to. I've gotten in the habit of listening to books. I have a program on my computer that I listen to people read the books. And I will tell you that you activate different parts of your brain. Reading has always been a fascinating pastime for me, but listening engages a different part of my brain. I say all of that to talk. Someone asked me, or someone commented, that they would try to incorporate technology when they started meeting again. That's not a bad thing, and I'm all for that. But it's not the technology itself that I was trying to highlight. The pandemic of 2020 has fundamentally changed our world. And there are people who have been more deeply affected. If you happen to have had someone you love die from coronavirus, I promise you your attitude towards meeting in public will be different. My own mother, she will get out and ride around in the car with my sister. She doesn't really like going in places anymore. So, and I'm learning to accept that about her. What I'm hoping that we do as we go forward is that we accept people the way we are, the way they are. And maybe, just maybe, we will get an insight on people who are different from us. I had a conversation with one of our members earlier in the year, and he asked me a question that I really didn't have a good answer for. And I realized that I hadn't put myself in somebody else's shoes. And the world that we live in is smaller and smaller and smaller. And a lot of people don't have the privilege of growing up where I grew up. And so their worldview is different, but it's nonetheless valuable. So give people a safe space to share their story. Give people a safe place to voice their opinions. And remember that the gospel of Jesus Christ has to be available to and for everyone. I've been a little bit long, but God bless you, Prospect.